So where does this fighting come from? Right? From a medical perspective, a huge component of it is ignorance. Right? Medical doctors don't know what we do as chiropractors. But I have to admit, it's not their fault. A huge part of it is our fault. We're putting out mixed messages every single second of every day about what chiropractic is and what chiropractic isn't. And so we need to get clear on our message if we ever have any hopes of changing it. And yes, medicine is an insular profession. They like doing everything within their community. So that's another barrier that we need to address. And yes, there's skepticism, and there's been years and decades of misconceptions and flat-out lies. But I think a big problem that we have as chiropractors is too many of us are still living in the world as if every day is a Wilkes versus AMA situation. Especially with new medical doctors who are graduating and going to practice now, their issues with chiropractic have nothing to do with the AMA's Committee on Quackery and everything to do with their lack of exposure to what chiropractic offers. How many of you have friends that you went to high school or college with that are now in medical school or physical therapy school? When you decide to be a chiropractor, do they automatically dismiss you? No, they might disagree with it, they might not understand it. But there's opportunities in the younger generations to build relationships, and it's absolutely essential that we do. Right? Why is it that we want to get kids under chiropractic care to change the future? We need to do the exact same thing with physicians. We need to transform it, and it starts with you now in school. I remember when I was in school, I had two of my best friends who were at University of Florida Medical School. They now work at the University of West Virginia and Harvard, Beth Deaconess Hospital. And neither of them understood what chiropractic was besides what they thought the public knew, right? It's for uncomplicated, musculoskeletal pain. And I started talking to them about neurology and subluxation and what it is that we do. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, that actually seems interesting. I'd like to learn more about that. This is available if we learn how to approach it in a way that is not just throwing information out there hoping it lands, but doing it in a clear, concise, and purposeful manner. And that's what's available. Because right now as DCs, as chiropractors, not only is there a lot of anger and defensiveness, but there's also a huge inferiority complex. And there's a huge level of jealousy. And we need to address that, because what we need to understand is that the differences in our profession are not in facts, they're in perception. We need to understand that our animosity towards medicine and their animosity towards us is not a matter of fact, it's a matter of perception of what we do. We have a major issue in our profession with sticking to what we do. It's terrible. Chiropractors want to go out and they want to be natural doctors, right? And so they're going to vilify anything that's medicine, and they're going to incorporate into their practice everything else, and then we're going to try to do what they do and pretend that it's better. It's not. James Chestnut has an amazing analogy. He talks about firefighters and carpenters, that when there's a fire in the building, you don't want a carpenter showing up to the fire to try to put the fire out. They don't have the tools to do so. You need the firefighters to come in and put out the fires. They come in with their axes and their hoses, and they spray down the house, and they clear it out, and they extinguish the fire. But after that fire's out, it's not going to do anybody any good to have the firefighter come back every day or every week or every month and just spray down the house to prevent more fires. You need the carpenter to come in and refurbish, to fix it back up, to prevent things, to improve the structure of the house, to avoid fires in the future. But when carpenters show up to fires, they look ridiculous. And when firefighters show up for prevention or for reconstruction, they look ridiculous. Both are necessary and both serve a separate and distinct purpose. And that's what we need to understand about chiropractic. We as a profession need to focus on what we focus on. If we do that, if we're able to very clearly explain what subluxation is the deleterious effects that it has on the human experience, and how chiropractic addresses that where nobody else in the planet does. Now we not only have the opportunity to build these relationships, but we have a unique marketing platform that can't be expressed by anybody else. Because guess what? Physical therapists can manipulate for aches and pains. Osteopaths can manipulate for aches and pains. Acupuncturists can do acupuncture. Physical therapists can do rehab. There's only one thing that chiropractors do that nobody else does, and there's only one thing that chiropractors do better than anybody else. And that's locate, analyze, and correct vertebral subluxation. And until we understand that, if we keep trying to look at this and say, no, they've got it wrong, we're doing it better, trying to pretend to do the same thing, we're going to always fail and look ridiculous doing it.